The first ever Enhanced Games took place in Las Vegas last weekend, and ooh buddy, it drove a lot of controversy. I was able to be there for the event, and here are 5 things I took away, plus a couple of interesting stats. First, here's the data. Of 42 enhanced athletes, 91% of them used testosterone esters, 79% of them used HGH, 62% of them used stimulants like Adderall or modafinil, 50% of them used aromatase inhibitors, 41% used EPO, and 29% used deca-durabolin, an anabolic steroid. My first takeaway is this. I am glad an event like this exists. If you understand the basic concept of game theory, you know that people are always going to use anything that gives them an advantage. So rather than deny that reality and go into a moral panic, we should acknowledge that pharmacological and genetic tools will be used and encourage rigorous science behind them, transparency, and personal accountability. The Enhanced Games are a step in that direction, and I think that's a good thing. My second takeaway is despite the fact that many of these athletes used performance enhancers, there were also many athletes that won their events with no enhancements. Fred Kerley won the men's 100-meter sprint, Tristan Evelyn won the women's 100-meter sprint, and Hunter Armstrong won the men's 50-meter backstroke. None of them are enhanced, and that tells me 2 things. Enhancements will never make up for preparation. Proper nutrition, training, and recovery are still the biggest factors in human performance. That and genetics. My third takeaway is that enhancements do work. There was only 1 world record broken, but the stat the mainstream media hasn't covered much is this. There were 14 personal bests that were achieved at the event. And some of these athletes were either semi or fully retired for anywhere from 1 to 7 years before competing here. My fourth takeaway is that performance enhancements are not the same as health span or longevity enhancements. Pushing the limits of human performance is very exciting, but only if it doesn't sacrifice quality of life and health span. Now, to the credit of the Enhanced team, they sent me 2 of their supplement formulations after the event, and I will say they've clearly done their research. If you followed me for a while, you know I always preach 2 things. Number 1, lifestyle before supplements, and number 2, everybody is different, so there is no perfect supplement stack. But these 2 formulations have a ton of very well-researched and natural compounds. Things like urolithin A, creatine, N-acetylcysteine, glycine, taurine, L-theanine, rhodiola. They're packed with tons of vitamins and minerals, and they even have ginger and turmeric root extract. Now, I often take or recommend many of these for certain situations, so it's a bit much for me personally, all in one. But if there's somebody out there that's looking to cover their bases, almost like an AG1, it's clear this team has done their research and these might fill that role. My final takeaway is this. Financial incentives are rewriting sports. Most people don't realize that Olympic athletes make barely any money at the event. Many of them dedicate their entire lives to being at the very top of their game, and yet they might walk away from the Olympics with a couple $1,000s. Now, don't get me wrong, many of them make tons in endorsements, but when you look at other sports where there are athletes making hundreds of millions of dollars, can you really blame the event organizers or the athletes that are participating for setting up an Olympic-style event that has cash prizes? This event caused a ton of buzz, and it was a really cool experience. It was well put on by the organizers, but now I'm interested in hearing your take. Should an event like this exist? And more importantly, why or why not?